Enjoy all episodes of the RCWR Show on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. Catch the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, only on Spreaker.com. Covering all things WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, Global Force Wrestling, Paragon Pro Wrestling, any and all things wrestling and beyond, as well as an occasional appearance by some kick-ass awesome guests. 10 p.m. Eastern, only on Spreaker.com. Hey, if you can't catch our shows live, you can scoop it up on demand on great platforms such as Spreaker, iTunes, Mixler, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and on YouTube. Just use the keywords, The RCWR Show.
Warning, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR Show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., as featured on Wrestling8.com and TNA Insider, Lee Sanders.
All right. Yes. And yes. We are live right now. Do not adjust your sets. We are live right now. What is going on, boys and girls? You are checking out a special edition of the RCWR Show coming at you this, God, it is now Saturday morning of April 2nd, 2016. I am the one and only Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders. What's going on? We're coming on for a very good reason as we are talking WWE NXT Takeover Dallas Fallout. It was a special event that was on the WWE Network. Aired on, I thought it was going to air at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern. I really did not even do any research as far as like, hey, when is it going to come on? All I kind of knew was, okay, it's coming on Saturday or Friday night, going into Saturday. It's probably going to come on around 9. I was actually pretty ecstatic that it came on at 10 o'clock. I don't know about you guys, but that kind of gave me a little bit more time to catch up on what was going on via DVR and pretty much go from there. So yeah, man, a lot of stuff we got to cover. I am looking forward to talking about it with you guys. I do want to hear from you all for the next little bit that we're going to be on the air. Hit me up a number of ways. Twitter at the RCWR Show. Facebook, Infinity One Productions. That's with an E, spell out one, Infinity One Productions. We are simulcasting live right now. Sounds a little low. The volume's a little low. Well, if the volume's a little low, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll see if this might work out a little bit better. You can tell me if that works a little better. I'm not trying to get too close to the microphone. Razor, tell me how that sounds. Long as there's not a whole lot of static and all that. I'm simulcasting right now. We're doing this for you guys on Spreaker. And we're doing this for you guys on Mixler. So you got a little bit of love on Mixler this go around. I know there was a couple of people that was like, what's going on with Mixler, man? How come we can't get no love on Mixler? How come you don't do shows on Mixler anymore? And I was really only doing like a once a month type of deal with Mixler. So I'm trying to give back since it's Wrestlemania season. And I've got some nice little goodies I'll be sharing with you Mixler fans in the later part of the show. It's a little experiment that we are going to try. All right, so we do have the Spreaker chat room if you want to pop in there, say hello. And there's also the chat on Mixler. So I'm just going to have right at it now that I've got all those cheap plugs out the way. First off, let me just say, production standpoint for tonight's WWE NXT Takeover, I thoroughly had enjoyed it. I never have any complaints with the production value of these NXT Takeover shows, but it just seems like each time these things come around, it just seems like the quality, it gets more and more top notch. You feel where I'm coming from? And it's pretty awesome considering how everything had began for the NXT promotion, just to see where it is now and just to see where it could possibly go in the future, as now more than ever in this year alone, they are really making their presence felt nationwide and globally. I'm sure if you all were watching the NXT TakeOver event tonight, you saw that there's going to be some UK appearances that's going to be happening later this summer. So that should be a hell of an experience in itself right there. But production value-wise, loved it. We had got the NXT TakeOver pre-show, which was a 30-minute show, which had featured Renee Young, WWE Hall of Famer Lita, and my favorite color commentator, Mauro Ranallo. That trio right there, that was a welcome breath of fresh air. Of course, I love anytime I get to see the lovely Renee Young, but you know, combine her with these new elements and personalities that we had saw tonight for the pre-show. Thoroughly enjoyable. The chemistry was just wow. If that was their first time hooking up together, which I was led to the impression that it was, as some of the things that Renee Young had said during the pre-show and setting up their introductions respectively, I gotta say they gelled very well together. I know, of course, there's a little bit of rehearsing that's probably done. Anybody that's been to a WWE live event and you've seen the pre-shows before they come on and the post-shows, you know that those guys by the table, they're definitely doing their research. They're going through some paperwork and all that, and there's a little executive producer or whatnot that's helping them prepare and all of that. But they just really gelled very well together this first night in. I hope that come WrestleMania Sunday during the pre-show, I know Mauro Ranallo is supposed to be involved in the pre-show, but I'm hoping that we get that same team up again. Maybe we can throw in a Shawn Michaels, Booker T, the usual suspects, but I really hope that the powers that be capitalizes on this great pre-show announced team, because they gelled very well together. Got me pretty amped up for the NXT TakeOver event, let me tell you. And let's go to our one honorable mention before we go with the entire card here. There were two matches that had came about. They were dark matches, and just to hook you guys up with the results for those respectively, you had Manny and that is a tongue twister name right there. Manny Andrade. He had defeated Chris Gerard. Hopefully I pronounced that right. That was a dark match number 1. Dark match number 2, you had Apollo Crews. He defeated Elias Sampson. Again, those were your two respected dark matches. I would think that possibly, maybe we'd get to see these matches on a future episode of NXT. Fingers crossed, but just kind of have that in the back of your mind. To the actual card itself we go. The American Alpha, Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, took on the Revival, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. Tag team match for the NXT tag team titles. Gotta tell you, this was a strong and cool kick-ass way to open up TakeOver in Dallas, which, by the way, I gotta give a lot of love to that Dallas, Texas crowd. They fucking represented tonight to the fullest extent. And I gotta just spend a couple of minutes talking on that crowd a little bit more, because I just couldn't help but notice off the break, because that's just me. I don't know about you guys, but I love panning out the crowd. I love kind of getting an idea of what type of people are there in attendance. It kind of helps me get a better feel of how they're experiencing the event in person overall, and it kind of helps in a good case when you're trying to enjoy a particular match, or you're trying to enjoy a pay-per-view, special event, what have you. So I couldn't help but pay attention to the crowd a majority of the night, and I just couldn't help but notice that there were a lot of adults in attendance. A lot of grown ass men. And I had put this tweet out. Now, look, it's very rare I will delete a tweet. Very rare, because I am one of those type of people. If you put something out there, you own it, you live up to it, and you just run right with the bad boy. But I put this one tweet out, and I said something along the lines of, wow, the crowd in attendance, it's a lot of grown-ass adults, it's grown-ass men, and they damn sure ain't there to see no Roman Reigns. And anybody that takes the time out to check out what's going on with wrestling news sites, or hell, you don't even have to check out wrestling news sites. Maybe you just check out your local radio station, or there's a particular WWE wrestler that you really like, and you hear that they gave an interview to somebody in preparation for Wrestlemania, or in anticipation of WrestleMania or whatever. You're like, oh, okay, well, let me see what this is about. I mean, good example, John Cena was on the Jimmy Fallon show. So you're kind of like, oh, if you're a fan of John Cena and you like Jimmy Fallon, then you're probably going to go out of your way, check that out, right? So there were a couple of people that didn't understand why I had made that tweet. Now, anybody that has been a long-time listener, anybody that is a educated wrestling fan, they definitely knew what I meant with regards to that. And for those that don't quite understand that, I'll gladly fill in the gaps real quick while we're on the subject. So basically it had to do with a Roman Reigns interview. And you can find this in a Google search. Just type in Roman Reigns WWE is for kids. Alright? Just type that in. It should be like the first thing that pops up. I think the link will be to SES Scoops or something like that. You'll see it. You'll know when you see it. It's like the first 3 links in the Google search. You read it, you'll understand the connection. So, keeping what he said in that interview in mind was why I put the tweet out. And to go a little bit more further than that, with what I saw of the crowd tonight, and what I have seen with all the previous WWE NXT Takeover events, it is all about the young adults, the adults that's in their 20s, 30s, 40s. I even saw some people in attendance tonight, and I can't help but think about previous NXT Takeover events where you even have folks in their 50s that was there. And to just think about this interview that Roman gave, I'm kind of having that in the back of my mind, and I'm just kind of like, surely this interview that he gave was just a work, because to see what we had tonight, it's like, WWE, I understand you're trying to go in this whole PG era. You have been for many years now, but your core audience, as greatly represented by what we had saw tonight, a good majority of it is adults. And whether you want to admit it or not, whether you like it or not, you definitely have to play up to them while trying to entertain the kids at the very same time. Can I get an amen on that? I mean, you got to give a little bit of something for everybody. And I tell you, I had put out a tweet to Missionary, and shout out to Missionary from Wrestling Soup. I said, Mish, my fucking God, man, like this, what we're experiencing tonight with NXT TakeOver is fucking WrestleMania. How the fuck is the main roster gonna follow up on what these men and women did at TakeOver tonight? Because the bar has been set mighty fucking high. Let me tell you, from top to bottom, this card was just fucking insanely good. I mean, my God, it kicked off with American Alpha, Jason Jordan, Chad Gable taking on the Revival, Scott Dawson, Dash Wilder. These guys grew on me, man. The Revival, I at first, when I was watching them in the previous months, it was like, but I was able to pick up 1-2 good traits that I had enjoyed about them, which was, they're kind of like a nice throwback of tag teams from yesteryears. They got kind of a AWA, NWA type of nostalgia to them that I found very alluring, because I'm a big fan of those territories. And you give me something from either one of those promotions from many eons ago, I will just kick back and binge on it for hours. I don't care if some of it is quirky. I just love that old school stuff. So I thought it was awesome how the crowd was like, which one's Dawson, which one's Wilder? I'm like, yeah, I still kind of have that problem myself, and I watch NXT for the most part, if not weekly. I definitely spend many weeks just binging on a boatload of episodes. And we actually, for this tag team match for the NXT tag titles, we had got crowned new tag champions in the American Alpha. As in the closing moments of the match, we had saw a big belly to belly by Jordan, but Dash Wilder ended up saving the team from more damage. Meanwhile, Dawson rose up Gable with a big handful of tights to only get a 2 count. Each guy rose up the other, and it just basically continues like that for a 2 count. Finally, we had saw Gable counter a slam into a pin for a 2 count again. He does another victory roll for a 2 count yet again. And then finally, Jordan gets the blind tag. He hits a shoulder thrust, and they pretty much were able to secure the victory by doing a double team finish on Dash to become your new WWE NXT Tag Team Champions. I thought this was a great way to open up the NXT Takeover Dallas event. Thoroughly enjoyed it, let me tell you. Next match we go to the greatest man alive, all the little monikers that he has, the phenomenal one. Sorry, that's AJ Styles, but he is definitely Austin Aries. Austin Aries making his in-ring debut for WWE, in particular for the WWE NXT division. Let's make sure we stress that. But if you want to get technical, this was his WWE in-ring debut against the Lone Wolf, Baron Corbin. And it was so interesting. I had put out a couple of tweets about Austin Aries, and one of the tweets that I had put out, I said, all right, awesome. We are finally seeing Austin Aries in the WWE. All right, now we're going to see what this guy is really capable of. And I was very ecstatic to see this. And as soon as I put the tweet out, people that I haven't even heard from in months, people that acted as though they didn't give 2 shits about interacting with me or trying to work with me and my great small staff over at my website, all of a sudden these were TNA Kool-Aid drinkers, let me tell you. So I had these people just come out of the woodwork, and they were just bashing how WWE is gonna mess up Austin Aries, and the reason why they were gonna mess up Austin Aries, as for some, as far as they were concerned, they were already messing up with Austin Aries in the WWE. Basically, one guy in particular, I'm not gonna even mention his name, but one guy in particular, he goes, oh, you take away the flashy lights, the camera, and the pyro and all that, and what do you have in Austin Aries? He's just basically a developmental talent that's just there to enhance others. It's a waste of his talent. They messed up with him, and I'm thinking, dude, Austin Aries hasn't even been doing this thing for the WWE for 90 days yet. Let's wait a little bit and see exactly what they're going to do with the man before we pass judgment. Am I a little bit optimistic, and do I have trepidations? Yes, I do. I'm right there with you guys. I have been watching these guys for years. It doesn't make me an expert. Does it make me a good judge of character, especially when I think about some of these promotions that's running around like WWE, and I've spent decades watching them, and it's gotten to a point right now where it's kind of like, okay, well, we know how WWE likes to do things, but you got to give them a little bit of credit. They have been trying to switch it up within recent years. So I think for some people, they didn't like the fact that Austin Aries didn't do like AJ Styles, and he didn't jump from NXT to the main roster. Because, I mean, when you really think about it, AJ Styles was able to just bypass all that. He just went straight to the main roster. So I think on the one hand, you have people that are looking at Austin Aries and NXT, and they're looking at that in the form of some type of a demotion, if you will. And if that's how they want to look at it, then honestly, I say, I feel where you're coming from, but this is actually a good thing. And I'm going to tell you the reason why it is a good thing that a man like Austin Aries is in NXT right now. And see, you have your TNA fans, they hear Austin Aries is doing this, and that's why they will try to watch the WWE product, even if they have to sign up for a free membership. They want to see what's going on with this former TNA guy and all that other good stuff. I have the mentality of this. Look, and this goes out to the hardcore TNA fan. This goes out to hardcore WWE fans. So it works vice versa. Whatever your favorite promotion is, when a talent is no longer employed with that company, they are a free agent, so they can go anywhere they damn well please. Now they might have spent a good amount of years with one particular employer, and you've enjoyed the work from that employer because you've seen what that employer has been able to do with an employee like a Austin Aries. But the two have parted ways, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. You can't hold it over that wrestler's head for saying, okay, you know what, I can't do anything with this employer anymore. I got to go test the waters and see what's out there. I've got to see what else is out there for me. I won't know unless I try. So I've always had the mentality of, if you've always been a fan of a particular wrestler, if you've always been a fan of a particular sports athlete, it doesn't matter what team or what employer they go for. If you are a true fan of them through thick and thin, good times, the bad times, you're going to stick with them regardless. Small analogy and we'll move on. I remember when the Bulls had finally broke up for the last time, and I had heard a little bit afterwards that Phil Jackson was going to be going to the Lakers. I said, well, my God, Phil Jackson is like the frickin' man. You know, he's like Vince Lombardi. I mean, sheesh. This guy's gonna bring great success wherever he goes. As soon as I heard he was going over to the Lakers, I was like, because I loved Phil Jackson. I loved everything that he represented. He was like the ultimate badass coach. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna see what happens. And you know, it was like a domino effect, because I got to pay attention to Kobe, and then when Shaq came in, and then when Kobe and Shaq had their little fallout and Shaq went on over and played for the Miami Heat, I was still a fan of Shaq at that point. I was with Shaq on all those teams that he had went to leading up to his retirement, and I was like, it don't matter. I'm a fan of Shaq either way. I'm a fan of Kobe either way. A fan of Phil Jackson either way. If you're a true fan, you're going to follow them no matter what and wish them the very, very best. So I just thought it was so interesting seeing some of these comments come in for Austin Aries. And it's like, let's wait 90 days and let's see what happens. But it's a good thing that he's not on the main roster right now, because honestly, he would get lost in the shuffle. You guys need to understand that AJ Styles is the experiment guy right now for the WWE. Look, if we had a magic wand, yeah, we would probably go in one night, boom, Samoa Joe, boom, Bobby Roode, Austin Aries. We'd probably have a shitload of guys that would be on the main roster right now. Okay? And on the one hand, you're like, hey, the main roster could use all the help that it could get right now. But at the same time, you look at what's going on currently with that main roster. And honestly, I think with the current landscape of that roster right now, it is good that you don't have Austin Aries there just yet, because everything right now is being set up through an AJ Styles. AJ Styles is your TNA. Let me back that up. AJ Styles is your ultimate TNA WWE crossover experiment right now. And it really just depends on how much further success AJ Styles has. Because if he could continue to build off of the momentum that he has been getting since he made his debut at the Royal Rumble earlier this year, and he could continue to have very solid matchups and all that, then thus it begins a domino effect that will bring other guys over, like your Samoa Joes, like your Austin Aries, like your Bobby Roodes, and whoever else from, whether it be TNA, ROH, whatever the promotion is that's out there. So you guys really need to kind of look at it just like that. Trust me, I feel where you're coming from, but you got to look at the landscape like that. Not to mention, you got to think about the night after WrestleMania. There are a lot of surprises that are in store. And would you really want Austin Aries to be lost in the shuffle on the main roster when all these surprises come up? That just would be a disservice to him and his talent. So it's actually good that he's in NXT right now, especially considering if Finn Balor is in fact eventually going to move up to the main roster while also juggling NXT, right? Austin Aries, Baron Corbin. Damn good matchup. I gotta tell you, I didn't realize how damn tall Baron Corbin was. I mean, 6'8". I mean, he looked like a freaking monster. I mean, he was like a freaking... It was like watching Big Show, but skinnier and much, much younger. Take on a little small fry. But my God, Austin Aries, if you've been following his career for such a long time, he has always been that great underdog. He's always been like that Wolverine type of guy, always willing to bring the good fight no matter what. These two had a really good back and forth that was going on. I love the story that was being told as Austin Aries was trying to do any and everything possible to just chop down this big man to his size and put the offense more in his favor. It was a lot of wearing down of Baron Corbin physically, spinning kicks, things of that nature. Final moments of the match, we saw Corbin get this desperate look on his face as he was trying very hard to end the match. He was looking for, what's his finisher? End of days? He was looking for that, but we saw Austin Aries. Somehow he was able to flip out of it, roll up Corbin for the win. That was a hell of a finish right there. I like it. Came out of nowhere. I think that was the main thing that really had got me. It was just the way that it ended so suddenly. But I don't think that these two are done, not by a long shot. I will admit that the match did seem just a little bit dull at times. And I think it was because Corbin, the way that he was booked, it really kind of made Corbin, I gotta call it how I see it, Corbin kind of came off like he really was not trying to sell for Aries. It just kind of came off like one of those type of matches, but I definitely enjoyed it. I would be a little bit more inclined to see how Austin Aries does in a program with, say, a Apollo Crews, or with a Tyler Breeze, or I'm trying to think who else might be on. I mean, he could even do something, I think, pretty well with Sami Zayn. But I'm a little bit more curious how he would do Hideo Itami. I'm a little bit more curious how he would do in matchups with guys that's a little bit more closer to his size and can definitely complement his style better. Baron Corbin, he's got to be another guy that just has this natural heat. Fans don't like this guy. A lot of people think he's a smug jackass, and he'll probably tell you, yeah, that's about right. But at the same time, everybody's got a little bit of arrogance in them. Lord knows I definitely do, but I know how to keep my shit in check, especially when I'm wrong. When I'm in the wrong, I do know how to be the bigger person and apologize, of course. But I tell you, I'm waiting patiently. I don't care what anybody says. I dig Baron Corbin. I dig him. He's got a nice look. He needs a little bit of Rogaine, though, for the front of that hair. If he's going to continue to keep that hair, he needs a little bit of Rogaine or some of that black magic stuff that you could pour on your head and it makes it look fuller and all that. He needs something to hook that little bit up, because I'd hate to see him come on the main roster and it's practically gone, you know. So it's sometimes it's kind of hard looking at that, because when I think back to when he made his debut in NXT, he definitely had a lot more hair in the front. Now, some people may argue, nah, it's always been about the same in the front. No, he's actually lost a little bit. Just rewind it and you'll see what I'm talking about. But the match was, I won't say it was a can't miss. I won't say it was a 5-star quality type of match. I mean, it was about an average match. Like I said, it definitely had a few dull moments in there, but for the most part, you know, it was decent. It was decent. Sami Zayn taking on I always thought his name was Shinsuke, but apparently that's not it, and I still can't pronounce his fucking name, unfortunately, so I will just get away calling him by his last name, Nakamura, because I know how to say the fuck out of that name. That name just rolls the fuck off of my tongue, and I know we're going to have some people that's going to try to help me out and say, Lee, it's pronounced. Thank you in advance for helping me pronounce it. I promise I'm determined to learn these names. I was actually checking out a good chunk of this young man's work over in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I gotta tell you, it was nice hearing Mauro Ranallo bridge that gap of a connection as far as why fans need to be invested in this match in particular. And Nakamura, a former IWGP heavyweight champion, same title that AJ Styles held for many months, Brock Lesnar had held for a few months. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. Very charismatic, has some of the most eccentric entrances that's out there to date. A very colorful character he is. The crowd for this particular match, they were really, really into this one. I mean, before the match even began, yeah, the Texas crowd chanting, holy shit. Yeah, this crowd was freaking amazing. The atmosphere that was surrounding it, it was just like, wow. You know, I gotta tell you, I think WWE finally found their Japanese superstar. I think they finally found, after all the bullshit that they have gone through over the years. I mean, you just think about some of the people that's out there that they've acquired. Just think back over the years. You had Tajiri. You had your Jimmy Wang Yang. You had Funaki. Kenzo Suzuki. I mean, those names just kind of really stand out to me right now, but I could probably, if I had like 10 more minutes, I would definitely name some more folks, but those main ones just kind of come off the top of my head, and it didn't really go too well. I mean, a lot of those guys were comic relief type of characters, wouldn't you say? And they had moderate success for some. If they were lucky, they maybe held the tag team titles. Maybe at one point they might have held a hardcore title. But that might have been it. That might have been the fullest peak. Well, some might have gotten the United States title. I'll leave that up in the air for you guys to figure out who among those names I mentioned and many others that were not mentioned maybe have reached some type of moderate success. But it wasn't to the point of, okay, folks are going to pay their hard-earned dollars to see this person. If this person puts up something cool on WWEshop.com, people are going to go flying to check it out. They want to buy it. They want to own it. Until now, Nakamura is one of those guys. I'm telling you, if you had enjoyed what you saw of his in-ring debut tonight, then you really owe it to yourself to go back and check out all the stuff that he was doing with Rev Pro Wrestling, for sure, over in New Japan. You won't be disappointed. As a matter of fact, if you get Access TV, on the weekends you can check out New Japan. They do like a hour show where they pick out like 4 matches for you to check out that hour. And one of the commentators is good old Jim Ross. That's right, WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross, who is actually in attendance for this NXT event tonight. I can't wait to hear the next Jim Ross podcast and hear his thoughts on the event. I'm sure he's out there enjoying him some really good barbecue sauce on some nice chicken legs, chicken breast, chicken wings, all that good stuff. Actually, he seems more of a rib guy, don't he? Seems more of a rib guy. Oh, I wonder. But I can't wait to hear what he had to say, because, I mean, he had a damn good front row seat for that. He was sitting right next to Michelle Bedell. Who's that from? I think ESPN or whatever. So, great, awesome atmosphere that was during the Sami Zayn Nakamura match. But yeah, you owe it to yourself. You got to go out of your way and check out more of that guy's stuff. I think the streak is over of bad Far East wrestlers that WWE just seem to. It's been a lot of misses for them over the years. They finally got their guy. And this was definitely a match of the year candidate. I mean, these two guys, the story that they told in that ring, really, really loved it. I mean, it wasn't really so much of a technical match, too, when I really think about it. That's the beautiful part about this match. It wasn't like you were watching New Japan Pro match. You basically were watching for about 20 minutes. These guys just pretty much chopped the hell out of each other. Nakamura hitting him with nice, good, strong-ass kicks. Damn stiff-ass kicks at that, man. That guy, for a tall guy, that guy got some serious, ugly kicks, man. Closing moments of the match, we saw Sami Zayn. He tried to do a suplex on Nakamura, but Nakamura ending up blocking it, sent him down. From there, he nearly tried to run up to him in the corner with an exploder, but Nakamura fought it off with a series of elbow strikes to the back of Sami's neck. Nakamura would then go to the top rope, nail Sami with a knee to the back of the head, and as Sami was trying to get up, he hits him with the Bomaye, and that's pretty much it. Nakamura is your victor, and you couldn't ask for a better debut from Nakamura. Just hands down, that was just, other than Kevin Owens, and I remember very vividly when Kevin Owens had made his WWE in-ring debut. And nice little trivia for you guys, it shows how long you've been listening. When Kevin Owens had made his WWE NXT in-ring debut, our tweet was actually flashed on the screen during that NXT special that had aired. And it was so cool how so many people were like, how did you get on the damn network? How'd you pull that off? And I was like, I just tweeted. They just ran with that, whatever, you know. But other than Kevin Owens' debut, this was definitely one that I will be remembering from, for many years to come, because that's just how much of a big fan I am of Nakamura. A lot of his work I've checked out leading up to him. I didn't even know he was coming to the WWE until like a couple of months back, when we kind of heard the rumblings that was going on, and it was like, oh wow, okay, all right, well, this should be interesting. Also in attendance, we were talking about Jim Ross and all that. Another person who was in attendance is one of the hottest free agents that's in the market right now of all pro wrestling, Kota Ibushi. I told you guys about him a couple of weeks back, and if you have not got hip to this young man, you need to, because other than Nakamura, this is another guy that I'm looking at that would definitely take the WWE by storm. I mean, he's got the whole Bruce Lee, and I hate making that comparison. I really do, because there's only one freaking Bruce Lee. But I tell you, man, he's got some nice, good-ass looks. I think the ladies would definitely go pretty wild for him. His offense, very unique offenses at that. Guys would definitely be able to get behind. I tell you, he's the next guy. If WWE can lock him up for a long-term contract, I think that's another guy that would be able to take the WWE by storm as well. Hope you guys have been enjoying the show so far. I can't believe it's already 1-something in the morning. And how long have we been on the air now? Well, that's not bad. We've only been on the air for about 42 minutes. So that's good. All right, we got 2 more matches to talk about. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, NXT Women's Championship, Bayley versus Asuka. My God. And the American crowd was really into this one. Asuka's gonna kill you. Bayley's gonna hug you. Then they started singing that song like the London crowd did to Bayley. Remember that? Hey, Bayley. I wanna be my girl. Whatever the hell they're singing. But that was pretty much the song. Yeah, this match right here, man. Damn good match. Damn good matchup. Closing moments, though, I gotta say, I was kind of like, what the hell happened right here? Let's pick it up in the final moments of this matchup. We saw Bayley roll out, or she did a roll up on Asuka, but that had only got her a 2 count. The girls had continued to fight. We saw Bayley. She tried to go for I think it was an Irish whip, but Asuka pretty much nearly countered that, turned it into a Asuka lock. That was countered. You got a suplex by Bayley, followed up with a clothesline. Tried to go for a pin, only a 2 count. Then we see Bayley instantly move into a submission hold, same one that had won her the Iron Man match back in October. Asuka escaped that, turned that into a pin. We got a 2 count. Bayley did a belly attempt, but Asuka would block it. She would end up catching Bayley with a spin kick, followed up with a suplex. Asuka would then apply arm submission move. Bayley tried to escape, but nearly ended up in the Asuka lock. Bayley tried to reach for the ropes, but that only allowed Asuka to lock it in even more. And here we kind of saw that Austin 316 moment right here. Bret Hart, Steve Austin having their infamous match there. Bret Hart having that submission hold and all that. Well, Bayley was in the fight of her life right here as she was trying to do what she could to break free. However, Asuka never let go of that vice grip submission she had on Bayley, and Bayley passed out. And folks, the match was over just like that. I mean, shades of what had went down I'm trying to back up here. Shades of what had went down with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn when they had locked it up. Kudos if you remember that one, because KO had got the NXT title off of a passed out Sami Zayn that have everybody like, whoa, what the hell did I just watch? Like, what, the belt can actually change, and it was like controversy, and here it is again. This had went down, but rather than there be a reaction of WTF and all that other stuff, everybody in attendance was definitely excited for Asuka, as she is your new NXT Women's Champion. What happens next? What happens next? Obviously, Bayley, she would no doubt have a rematch. I would think that would be executed during the span of the next few weeks of NXT programming, but is this a case right here where bigger things are coming for Bayley? Is this a case right here where maybe Bayley is getting ready to move up to the main roster? Lord knows she could definitely do a lot of good on the main roster if she is in a position where she's continued to be utilized properly like she's been in NXT. That's the only way that it's really going to be successful, which kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. You know, a lot of you guys are like, oh, this sucks. This person needs to be on the main roster. Why is this person in NXT when they need to be? Don't be so quick to see your favorite stars on the main roster just yet. They need to do a lot of cleaning up on that roster before we can be like, oh yeah, it'd be awesome if they added this person. You feel where I'm coming from? There was one person that was shown in attendance that had got a huge pop, that was sitting in the front row before we went to our main event match for the NXT Championship, Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. It pays to be rude. Bobby Roode was in attendance. You also had Stephanie McMahon, Scott Hall, X-Pac, Kota Ibushi, but Bobby Roode was in attendance. We heard the rumblings that he was at the same hotel as the other WWE superstars. And you're kind of like, that's a nice little rumor floating around, but to actually see the man in the flesh, I mean, the seeds that were planted tonight with a lot of things, the seeds that were planted with Bobby Roode, with Ibushi, that just tells me this is a taste of things to come, and I can't wait to see what happens with those two guys. As far as their future in the WWE goes. Of course, Bobby Roode wanted out of his WWE. Oh, I said WWE. He wanted out of his TNA contract. That's what I was trying to say originally, as it was kind of like up for renewal, or it had expired, and he wanted a little bit more money. And TNA, they couldn't make him his offer, so he decided, well, you know what? Let's just go on ahead and part ways. And he's been very classy. He's been very professional about it, and I think even the most hardcore TNA fan has to admit that, hey, yeah, given where TNA is right now in its current state, yeah, it's actually probably a good thing that Bobby Roode is testing out the other waters. And Is he a couple of years too late? Yeah, I say he should have tested out the waters 3 years ago, 5 years ago. But, I mean, he's still relatively a young man. It should be interesting to see what happens with him. Main event match, NXT title, Finn Balor taking on Samoa Joe. So, we see Finn Balor, he comes out and he has this crazy ass getup going. He pulls out a chainsaw. If you guys didn't get that, he was doing his own version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Okay? The little killer guy. But I don't know about you, but I think I might have been the only one that was kind of thinking, hey Finn, Dean Ambrose called. He wants his chainsaw back because he needs it against Brock Lesnar this Sunday. Badoosh, you know? So, great matchup that we had here between Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. Not even 2 minutes into the damn matchup from what I can recall. We get freaking blood just oozing all over the fucking place as we had saw Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, they butted heads. And as soon as they butted heads, Samoa Joe, apparently during that headbutt, Finn Balor's head kind of went into the eye socket a bit of Samoa Joe's. And Samoa Joe had like this nasty, I don't even know if it was a cut or what, but the guy was bleeding profusely. It was so bad that like multiple times, and it was damn right freaking irritating. We had the referee stop the match so that EMTs could check out the eye, and the crowd was just livid. They were throwing chants out there such as let the, what were they saying? Let it bleed. Let them bleed. Let it bleed. Let them bleed. Fuck PG. PG sucks. I mean, they were going all balls out with that. And I totally was with them because I'm trying to get into this match. And look, I couldn't help but kind of say, well, wait a minute now. This is on the WWE network. This is not being streamed to any televisions. This isn't a pay-per-view. Why doesn't WWE go on ahead and just, hey, it's on our network, let's let it go down, let's let the blood fly? But at the same time, they do have that responsibility to the shareholders and all that. And I mean, for Christ's sake, they're now hooked up with DiGiorno, they got Snickers, and they got the Boys and Girls Club and all this other stuff. What the fuck does that have to do with NXT, you say? Really not a damn thing. But I think WWE has just gotten to this point where they're trying to do any and everything they can to make sure that they uphold their image in any way possible. But honestly, as long as it was a situation where Samoa Joe's eye was not injured itself, and from what we were able to see with the many close-ups that we got of Samoa Joe's face, as I mean, even at like one point, Triple H just, because you know he's in the back like calling for the camera angles and all that, at one point it just kind of got to a situation where Triple H just was like, you know what, F it, if his eyeball's not hurt, just let these guys go. Because it was just getting downright irritating. And that's the last thing you want to go down, is you got this hot main event match that folks are so pumped up to see, and the match keeps getting interrupted because a motherfucker has to check on the blood and make sure it's like not a serious life-threatening injury or something like that. So on the one hand, I am happy that Samoa Joe did not have any type of a life-threatening injury. You know, well, of course. I mean, I'm very, very ecstatic for that. But, yeah, this was a damn good match. A damn good match despite the fact that these guys kept getting interrupted with Joe bleeding profusely. Final moments of the match, let's pick it up. We had saw Joe, he engaged Balor in a series of slaps. Finn would make a comeback with his own strikes, though. Joe hits with a big shot, and Finn had connected with the Pele kick From there, both guys, they're down. They are just exhausted. It's like, okay, who's got that extra little bit of gas in their tank to just come on, finish hard, get that victory. We see Finn. He tries to get up, and Joe is just like, what the hell? Because he can't believe that Finn still has it left in him to continue on. We had saw the sling blade, corner drop kick, and Finn, he continued to just look like he had got a second burst of wind. I don't know if maybe that was the demon mode taking over or what, but he tried to go for Bloody Sunday. Joe counters and turned it into that trademark clutch that he likes to do. Finn looks like he's about to just give in, but then he has one more kick up, one more fire up. And I was talking about Bret Hart, Steve Austin earlier, Survivor Series 1996. I said WrestleMania moment earlier. Forgive me there, guys. I'm old. 1996. It's like almost, it is 20 years ago. God damn, I'm getting old. But anyway, we saw the old Bret Hart, Steve Austin Survivor Series 1996 finish where he runs up the corner and falls back onto Joe for the 1-2-3. Your winner and still NXT champion, Finn Balor. This was a better match for both of these men as opposed to what they did in the London match. I don't know. There was something about that London match that was just a little bit too short for me. Definitely came up a bit too short. This one, it seemed like they redeemed themselves exceptionally well. No complaints here. But overall, man, the men and women for tonight's NXT Takeover Dallas, they did a damn superb job. They set the bar really high, just as they do every freaking time before a WWE main pay-per-view hits. I can't wait to see how WrestleMania is going to stack up, man. I really can't, because the bar has just been set so high that, it just goes back to what I had said on the Tuesday night edition of the RCWR show, which was, wow, like, you look at the entire WrestleMania card and, like, given all the great success that NXT has had year after year after year, to the point that you finally have Vince McMahon giving in, going, okay, I'm really starting to like this NXT. He was at NXT's Dallas event tonight. There was a couple of pictures floating around, courtesy of Triple H on his Twitter handle, and it showed Vince McMahon watching the event right along with them in the gorilla position on the monitors and all that. So it just sucks that NXT has no representation, true representation. I don't mean, oh, well, look at Bayley, look at Sasha. That's not what I mean. But I mean guys like Finn Balor making a WrestleMania appearance, having a WrestleMania match. It just sucks that we aren't seeing NXT love. Hopefully that'll change come next year. I hope it changes. I would love to see something like that happen for NXT fans and for the NXT brand. I mean, it's just more brand awareness, more brand attention when it's all said and done. But WrestleMania is in a day and a half. That should be a damn good, interesting matchup in itself. So on that note, that ends the talk of NXT TakeOver Dallas. Of course, our coverage, it continues, man. I got a busy week, and we are just getting started. So now that we got this in the books, let me tell you what's coming up next. We have the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony that's going to be going down Saturday night. And the way that we're going to be doing that, I'm going to try to see if I can come on live via YouTube to give my reactions to the whole ceremony, recap, mention great moments and all that. So if you got work Saturday night, you're not going to be able to check it out, you just want to maybe know my thoughts on it and all that. We'll definitely have that YouTube special for you guys. I'm going to try to see if we can also simulcast that elsewhere, but I don't know. It just depends on a couple of things. But I'm thinking the simulcast should not be a problem. And then, of course, we have WrestleMania 32, the post show. Join me, and for one night only at least, my former broadcast partner, the evil genius of professional wrestling, Titus Machiavelli. We will be reuniting for one night only to talk all things WrestleMania. Last call, by the way. If you have not entered, make sure you do. We got a really cool WrestleMania 32 prize giveaway that's going on right now. It's very easy to enter. All the details you need is on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Infinity One Productions. That's with an E as in Edward, spell out one, O-N-E, Infinity One Productions. And it's the very first thing you see because I made sure I pinned it to the very top when you land on our Facebook page. So check out all the contest details. We got some really nice, cool prizes that's up for grabs. And the way it's looking, we'll be announcing winners via Facebook come Sunday, just before WrestleMania comes on. So make sure you're paying attention to the Facebook page, and we'll officially announce the winners on that post show. But that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, we got Monday, which is going to be the night after WrestleMania. I think what I'll probably end up doing is I'll come on for about an hour, and I'll give my thoughts on the Raw after WrestleMania. I'm not sure if we'll maybe do that on Mixlr or what, but that might be an exclusive to Mixlr. We'll try to see how we go about that. But yes, a very busy weekend all for you guys, so hopefully you appreciate it. And if you're new, love to have you subscribe so you never miss out. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at the RCWR Show, Facebook Infinity One Productions. That's gonna do it, guys. All right, one down, a couple of more shows to go. We'll do this for you all next go around. Until then, be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. Everybody, do take care.